Hi, welcome to Networking Bytes. I'm Dan Jones, I'm a wireless engineer here at Natilik, and I'm providing you with insights into wireless networking. Let's talk about the local nuances with Wi-Fi. The first thing to note is that every single country has its own set of regulations. And what's great about partnering with us is that we've got a global team with global knowledge. So we can set out things like, what are the transmit maximum power settings that we can use? What are the channels we can use? What are we allowed to do outside versus what are we allowed to do inside? There are lots of different things that we have to take into consideration. Things like co-channel interference. What channels are we allowed to use in a space? But also things like DFS, dynamic frequency selection. How does that impact different places in different parts of the world? And secondly, we need to think about each office lives in its own unique location. Everything's different about every single office space, whether that's the interferers that are around, whether that's the neighbours that are around, the other wireless networks that you can see from that space. What we can't do is take one configuration and just copy and paste that across every office location. We have to think about this individually. And I think one of the main things that we need to look at are things like the interferers that are in a specific place. And that can be things like microwave ovens, cameras, MiFi devices, personal hotspots. We need to be able to see those things so that we can make sure we mitigate any risk and any kind of interference that they might cause into a network. We also need to look at things like the configuration. Again, for every country that can be different, but it can also be different for every individual location. There might be a handful of channels that we just can't use because there's too much noise on them. So we need to think about how we can set up the network so that it works perfectly in that location. We also need to think about things like guest networks. Are there any kind of local laws that dictate what you can and can't do? Are there things that you need to have in terms of an acceptable usage policy? Do you need to have an acceptable usage policy, or is actually that just not required by law? So there are lots of different things in terms of the kind of physical that we need to look at, but also in terms of the config and how we set up the network. Thanks for watching this Networking Bytes video. If you want any more information, please get in touch.